This is Talking Devils, your favourite Manchester United podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Barton, joined tonight by the wonderful former United goalkeeper, current Barnsley goalkeeping coach, Kevin Pilkington. Kevin, how are you doing, mate? You all right?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, all good. Apart from
Good stuff.
hay fever's killing me.
Oh, God. Well, we're coming out of the season for it, so...
Yeah, this is the worst part for me, this end.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
If you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, feel free to get your questions in. Also, we are trying this out on Twitter as well at the same time. So feel free to join in if you're watching on there as well. I'm not sure if the questions are going to come up, but feel free to join in the discussion if they do. Recent videos, I did the podcast with Paul Parker this morning. We went over the game against Villa. Paul, not very happy with it, and who is, to be fair. A couple of things on the website as well. I wrote something about Ron Atkinson's football to be part of the series that I've been writing on there. Also, Matt Gillia's column of last week is on there as well. Kevin, so before we get on to United, Barnsley's weekend, a little bit of a frustrating one up at Blackpool.
Yeah, definitely. We've gone there, we thought we'd have a really good chance of winning. They've got an early goal, and then it's been frustrating from there. We've not really created that much, to be honest. So yeah, just frustrating. There was 3,000 Barnsley fans up there as well. So for all them to travel up that far and support the boys like they did, it's just disappointing to come away and not come away with anything from the game.
Yeah, and not great weather as well. Well, it wasn't in Manchester.
The weather was great.
Really? Oh, right, good.
Shorts and t-shirt. Yeah. So no, it was the weather was all right. It's just the result.
Yeah. I suppose that's the one thing. Like, so I have Blackpool at that time. Well, it's over now. It's over.
Yeah, that's it. Out of the way.
But you had a win the week before, right? Or was it a 0-0?
No, 0-0. Yeah. So we had a clean sheet. We were home to Blackburn. Yeah, home to Blackburn. So clean sheet. Good for the goalkeepers.
Yeah, and Forest is next up. Forest, a team who've had a bit of struggle lately.
Yeah, a team I supported as a boy. Grew up watching Forest. So yeah, new change of manager, Steve Cooper's got in there. I'm sure he'll do a very, very good job. Just hopefully after Wednesday night.
Yeah, glory on Kevin Pilkington there. Brian Clough days. All right, let's talk about United. Not a very good game, to be honest, but it's one that we've got to talk about. Aston Villa at the weekend, 0-1. One of them, I mean, United, we've talked before about United conjure up these kind of storylines. It's mental. 1 week they can win in the last minute and then concede a penalty and have it saved. And then the next week, the opposite happens. You know, like they concede a goal in the last minute and then get a penalty and miss it. Only at United. But it's one of those things where if you look at the game as a whole, Villa deserved to win. They were the better team. They were more organised. They dominated the midfield frustratingly at Old Trafford, to be fair, and then snatched it with that late goal. Before we get onto the game in general, there's a little bit of controversy over the goal because of the guy who was stood in front of De Gea. And there was it a Leicester last week that wasn't given?
Yeah, last week, yeah.
So how do you view that as a goalkeeper? Do you think he should have stood?
Yeah, I was watching it on Sky Sports this morning where they have the ref watch and all that. And if the referee's in a different position, I think he would give a different decision. But the angle is at, he's looking straight down at De Gea, and from that, rightly from his view there's no one in his eye line from there. So I think it's one of them. It could go your way, it could go against you, but ultimately, I'm not one for saying that's offside. I think he's not really impeding him. He stood there to start with, but then when the ball actually gets headed, he's got a full view of the ball. So for me, I think they're clutching at straws there.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, to be honest. I mean, because the rewriting of this offside rule all the time, and not just in front of the goalkeepers, but the actual interpretation of it is difficult. Obviously, they've changed a little bit this season. They seem to be a bit more liberal with it. Is that difficult for goalkeepers to sort of deal with the changes?
Yeah, I think it's difficult for everyone to deal with the changes because, like I say, it just keeps getting changed year in, year out, and they just need to be consistent with it and just go, right, these are the rules, this is what is happening, and they've got to draw a line somewhere. You can't just keep going, well, we'll give the forwards the advantage or the defenders the advantage. They've just got to draw a line and say, this is what it is, and we'll crack on from there. But like I say, if it keeps getting changed year in, year out, then it's just going to cause even more confusion all the time. So you just need, like I say, you just need to stick to what they want.
I can remember back in the day, the big rule changes tended to come in after the World Cup, didn't they? They do something radical in the World Cup, and the one that really sticks out for me was '94. And obviously they did the back pass rule after '92, but the '94 when they outlawed the tackle from behind, and then everyone was getting sent off for the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah. But again, that's all changed again now, where they're letting a lot more tackles go.
Yeah.
So it's like I say, they just need to stick to what they say, and just everyone get on with it, and then maybe in another 10 years have a look again, but not every year.
What did you make of United then? Because I mean, it's the second game in a row they've had nearly 30 shots. Didn't always look like scoring, to be honest. The closest they came was through Greenwood having a few chances, but even then, he was snatching at a couple of them. I've said it's a bad day at the office. It's obviously a little bit deeper than that. But what did you make of how United played on Saturday?
Yeah, again, I've just seen the highlights. I've just seen the game on Match of the Day, obviously, because we're playing at the same time. Yeah. So you just get you get to hear people talk about it, which can tint your view a little bit. But it's a game that they should be winning. They should be playing Villa at home and dominating the game and coming away with a win. Don't get me wrong, Villa are a very, very, very good team, but the equipment that Man United have got to go and beat that team, they've got plenty of it, and it's just frustrating for a team to come and dominate us at Old Trafford. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Where do you stand on this then? Because I mean, the biggest frustration from fans has been the midfield, the fact that they've played this sort of conservative midfield in front of Varane and Maguire. And the argument is, and it's a fair point, is that you don't need both of them. You've signed Varane to loosen, to make it a bit easier in midfield. And the flip point of that is the midfield aren't really doing the screening job that they're supposed to be doing anyway. So if you're not having them doing what they're supposed to be doing, I'm not criticising the players for that. Ask them to do something different. Ask them to press higher up the pitch instead of sitting in front of the defence. Do you think it's time for Ollie to have looked at, I mean, specifically the Villa game, but in other games like that at home, do you think that Ollie now needs to look at that and say, it's not really necessary to play with those two people and it's going to hinder us further up the pitch if we do?
Yeah, I understand having one. I understand having one holding midfielder. I think most teams do that. You look at Chelsea with Kante. I mean, he's a perfect example of it. But you've got, like I say, you've got two world-class centre halves there now, in Maguire and Varane. And then if you play someone in front of them as well, and then your fullbacks are going on. One will go and one will stay. Well, that's the way it should be. So just let your midfielders go and play from there, and go and join in. And like I say, hopefully win the ball back up higher up the pitch, and then go and create something. You've got Pogba. You want Pogba to be creating higher up the pitch. You want him to be around the opposition's penalty box, either scoring or creating and making assists. So, yeah.
Yeah. Goalkeeper corner. Let's get your thoughts on the goalies. There's been a little bit of activity for all of them. Not Tom Heaton, but on the last show that you were on, Lee Lawrence, former United player, was watching, and he put in a question about Tom Heaton. It came in like just after the final whistle of the show. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Lee asked about your thoughts on Tom Heaton returning to the club.
I think Tom's been an excellent goalkeeper for the past few years. He's been unfortunate not to be playing after he left Burnley. Everyone saw how good he was when he went to Burnley and did a great job there. So I think it's a good one for United. But there's a lot of goalkeepers there, so you're wondering if what's his intentions of going there for? Is he just happy to be just sat there now, or does he still want to push? I'm sure he does. I'm sure he still believes that he can still play in the first team. But you've got David De Gea, who's playing really well at the moment, and Dean Henderson as well, another very, very good goalkeeper. So he's got a big wall in front of him to get any football at all. So, and with them getting knocked out of the Carabao Cup the other night, even less of a chance of playing football. So it's not nice to say, but you're hoping for injuries, really.
Yeah, so, as a goalkeeper. So.
Yeah. So it's a strange one. Like I say, I think he's an excellent goalkeeper. I've always liked the way he plays the game, but it'd be difficult for him to have any game time.
It seems to time with what the club are doing overall in different ways, because they brought Paul McShane back to play in this sort of player coach role in the under-23s, and by all accounts they're talking to former players to try and get them to do the coaching badges at the club as well. You know what I mean? They're trying to really emphasise, and we'll get on to sort of Ollie's role in that in a moment, but do you think that that's a good thing? Because it seems like for a little while there was a detachment of sort of the club's identity, but now they're bringing in players back.
Yeah, I think it's, like you say, with bringing ex-players back, especially like Paul McShane to go into the 23s. I think it's passing on his experiences, not just of playing, but of being at the football club and what it means to be at the football club. And like I say, bring a bit of the not old school, but previous generation back into of how it was when Sir Alex was there. I know Ollie's a big fan of Sir Alex, so I think that's what they're trying to do. From my point of view, I think from the sounds of it. But yeah, I think in some ways it's a good thing if he's around there sharing his experiences. But then again, if you look at it on the flip side, he's taking up a young boy's position in the team. If he's playing every week.
Yeah, that is an argument, and I don't know enough about what this new. So it's not United who are the only club doing it. Apparently, there's 3 other clubs in the country, and I want to see.
Sorry. I know a lot of 23s teams who are getting ex-pros who are coming to the end of their careers, going in around it just to keep the standards up and drive the drive training a little bit more as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if it has. I mean, it's at least an innovation, right? They're trying something different.
Yeah, definitely.
It's an interesting one.
At the end of my career.
But I was going to talk about this though, because it moves into this League Cup thing, because obviously they changed all the players to play in the League Cup the other night, and they're out of the League Cup. So now there's only going to be those handful of games, and we'll talk about the Champions League in a moment and everything like that. But because they're out of that competition, the young lads were playing the night before in the supplementary competition where they can sort of is it the Papa John's Trophy or something where they played at Bradford, and they played well by all accounts, but it's not first team experience. It's a bit different. I know that Bradford will probably treat it like that, but it's a difficult time for young players. What with the abolition of the old school reserve football as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, there's a 23 league, but it's not the same as playing competitive football, like first team football. It's a little bit false in my opinion of how they play the game. There's a result on it, but there's not that pressure of having to win 3 points, having to put in a performance and grind out performances as well and grind out a win. So it's just the Papa John's is good in one respect, that they're going to play like League 2 and League 1 sides, and they will be putting out strong teams against them. So hopefully they can go a bit further in that to get their experience that way. But it's difficult for them not getting that many games, proper competitive games.
Yeah, De Gea, just after we talked about him being number 1, and you've seen that it was his shirt, he goes and makes the save in the game against West Ham. He said he's been playing well. Henderson comes in for the League Cup game, and probably the only player in that team not to let himself down. So it's good that United have two goalkeepers that are performing at the moment.
Yeah, like I said, like last time I was on here, De Gea's been great so far this season, and again, it was good at the weekend. The European game as well, I thought was excellent in that. Made some very good saves in that as well. So, and then Dean comes in and does his job. So it's a great department at the moment. They're doing their jobs really well. And at the moment, De Gea's got the shirt.
Yeah, talk to me about the defence at United at the moment. They've obviously brought in they brought in Varane to play in defence, but that's sort of. I mean, Varane looks the part. Don't get me wrong, but I think that as a 4, they're trying to sort of get as a 5. Really, they're trying to get used to playing with each other. Varane tends to stick to the right. He doesn't move very far away from it, whereas Maguire will drift left. He's quite happy to do that. A couple of times, teams have pulled Maguire out of position where he's played the ball back to De Gea and he's had to sort of make a quick decision with that. On the other side, something I've noticed with Varane and Wan-Bissaka is Varane likes to. I mean, he'll hold his position on the right, but he'll sort of drift to the right if Wan-Bissaka moves. But when Wan-Bissaka is trotting back into position, Varane's holding his position. Do you know what I mean? So Wan-Bissaka's not moving anywhere, and they're basically creating this space. Is that hard for goalkeepers? Because I mean, you've got on one hand you've got players having this positional teething problem basically, and on the other you've got Maguire who has been. Don't get me wrong. I think Maguire's been played into some difficult situations, and it's not helping him out. But then he's having to put De Gea in a bit of a bind as well. Talk me through that. The experience basically of signing a new defender and getting used to that, even if it's a top class defender.
Yeah, I think it's more a relationship of the two centre halves. Well, the goalkeeper and the two centre halves, really. Yeah. It's just getting to know how each other plays and trying to gel that as quick as possible, and understanding what they expect from each other and what you expect from them as well. So, and it's communication. You've got to be talking to, especially your centre halves, constantly and making sure that there isn't them gaps to be. To get punished in, really. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I'm sure they'll work it out quickly because, like I say, they're international quality players and they've got a lot of experience between them. And for me, it's just a bit more communication between the 5 of them, including the back 4 and the goalkeeper.
Yeah, for me, I think that. At the moment, we're watching it happen in real time with Varane and Wan-Bissaka learning to play with each other. Wan-Bissaka likes to go forward, but I think sometimes, his strength is just staying where he is. Do you know what I mean? I don't want that to sound cruel.
Yeah, I think I think he realised that as well. That it's the area of the game where he's got to get better at. Is going forward. Defensively, he's excellent. His pace gets him out of trouble, and his tackles get him out of trouble. But yeah, going forward, he just needs to be a little bit better. But they just need to. I think they'll work on it in training, and it's probably 8-9 games into the season, so it's still early days. So you just got to understand each other a little bit more.
Yeah. So when you were coming through the club in the mid-90s, obviously with that great generation of players of which you were a part, there was a buzzword around the time which was patience for the players that were coming through, and also the fact that you guys were there meant that you understood the club. I mean, not all of you did. I'm not going to say that, but by and large, the young players got the club. You got the culture of it, and Fergie obviously did because he ran the club. We skip forward a generation or two, and we're in the current situation where we are, where we've had 2 or 3 managers who perhaps don't understand the real culture of the club, what it takes to be United. A lot of staff were let go. They brought in their own staff. They brought in their own players that perhaps didn't seem like United players. And I'm talking as good a player as Bastian Schweinsteiger was. Perhaps he wasn't ever really the right fit for United. Angel Di Maria, another example. And now Solskjaer was coming. He's had to sort of deal with 3 managers worth of turbulence, and as we talked about earlier, he's bringing in this connection to the club. you could, and I know a lot of his critics are arguing this, that's the only thing that he's done. They're saying that and it doesn't count for anything. I was just wondering, from your perspective, considering that it's not been there for 5 years after Sir Alex and Ollie's worked hard to build it, even if this is as far as he takes United, do you think that people aren't really appreciating how difficult it is to have done what he's done with that?
Yeah, I think it's been a tough one for him because he's trying to rebuild a football club that hasn't won anything for 8-9 years now. Well, apart from the UEFA Cup, they've not really won anything for 8 or 9 years. So he's trying to build a winning football team, but also build a football club back up again. So it is a difficult job for him. I've spoke to him since he's been in the job, and you can see the passion there that he's got for the football club. We all know what he means to the football club and what the football club means to him as well. So, yeah, I think he's done a very, very good job. But United need to win trophies, and that's the be all and end all. Really, it's a harsh business, but it's Manchester United, and they need to be better. And you've seen it in the past where teams go through a low spell, but it needs to. It's been 8 or 9 years since we won the Premiership now, so just needs to kick on a little bit now.
Yeah. Do you think, from Ollie's perspective, where he is in the job, and we talked earlier about the midfielders and everything like that, one of his great strengths has been the patience that he's shown with players. Do you think that, from what you've seen of him and from what you know him as a player, do you think that he's got it within him to sort of be ruthless, knowing that the axe might fall on him to sort of say, no, do you know what, we need to make that change. I'm not going to go with the thread anymore. This is more serious than that.
Yeah, I'm sure he has. Like I say, he's been around Sir Alex Ferguson and he's seen how ruthless Sir Alex was. So I don't think that's an issue. It's just that I'm sure he wants to bring other players in or move other players on. I'm not saying Fred's one of them. I'm just saying that I'm sure he wants to bring other people in. But maybe his hands are tied a little bit with it in the transfer market as well. As we know, COVID's hit football clubs badly, so there's not as much money around at the moment. So maybe it's a bit more patience. But I think I'm hoping that. Well, I think it will click this season. I'm not saying we're going to win the Premiership, but I'm sure we'll be up there around about it, challenging. But the football club needs to win some trophies soon.
Yeah, we talked last time about sort of playing the strongest team in the Champions League, and the defeat at Young Boys has kind of re-emphasised that. Yeah. And it brings on to the last point really I want to talk about, and it does knock onto that League Cup exit because of the fact we've got this swelled squad, and 11 of those players were changed the other night, and none of them were really young players. Brings this different perspective for where those players are going to get their chances and where these squad players are going to get their chances. Do you still believe that, considering the fact that we lost the first game, that United have to be a little bit more, or Ollie has to be a little bit more selfish with that and just say, do you know what, we qualify first, or we deal with these games first, and then we experiment either if we qualify or if we're ahead in games, then we can make the subs that we need to make?
Yeah, definitely. I think I said on the last show that they need to win the first, get to 9 points.
Yeah.
Or 9 or 10 points first, and then you can start rotating if you need to. But it's, like I say, it's all about qualifying first. So I'm sure he'll put he'll put his strongest side out, especially after losing the first game in the group stages. So I think the aim is get to 9-10 points first, and then have a look then after that. But it's all about qualifying.
Yeah, Villarreal, we were speaking just before we came on air, drew the first 4 games with them 0-0, and then obviously lost the one on penalties after drawing 1-1. Is Wednesday night going to be the time when it changes and United finally win?
I hope so. I hope so. But like I say, Villarreal, they've been a very good team over the last few years. They've been an excellent team. So I'm going for a 4-0.
To us, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, no, to us.
Nice one. Well, you never know. We're due a reaction for sure. And let's hope we get it. And let's hope that Barnsley get one as well over the next couple of weeks by the time that we talk again. Right, guys, if you're watching, give us a nice rating and review on the Apple Podcast if you're listening to this, but please like and subscribe if you're watching as well. We'll be back soon with Kevin. I'll nudge him soon to bug him to get back on, hopefully recovered from his hay fever. We'll be talking about plenty of those 4-0 wins for United and Barnsley. We'll be back soon. I will be back in about half an hour talking to Fabio Da Silva. Until then, stay safe, stay well, and thanks for listening and watching.